One of the most interesting parts of coming up in the black community is running across and knowing people that are like Tariq Nasheed. Now, if you need a little context, if you ever watch the Boondocks, think of Reverend Lovejoy. Or, for my Caucasian watchers, you remember Saw and that guy Bobby who, pretended as if he went through the saw traps? Well, that's what folks like Mr. Nasheed are. They're liars and con artists and actors for the most part. They slip into any role that suits them and they ride that wheel, they ride the horse until, the legs give from underneath it. And so, it's insanely interesting to watch people such as Atheism is Unstoppable really sniff through the BS that people like Tariq Nasheed like to put forward. And he's not the only one. In this video that he did, there's Jesse Lee Peterson, as well as clips that really illustrate the type of nonsense and BS that Mr. Nasheed spews. So with that being said, we are going to get into this. And I know that this is something that's gotten me, a few of you guys are here due to the AIU videos. And so I definitely want to say thank you, welcome to the channel, and I'll try to give you more of what you look forward to. So without any further ado.
I don't know what you heard about me. Well, I've heard a couple things about Mr. Tariq Nasheed. Dude keeps popping up, he keeps grinding. I thought he was a joke, a clown, a character.
He is. He's an actor, Mr. Tracy. All right? I mean, make no mistake. This guy, you'll see as we get into this video, but one of the things that really infuriates me more than anything else is that his current hustle, because as someone who's not unfamiliar with the outlaw lifestyle, I respect hustles. I respect the grind, without question. That same grind that Mr. Tracy speaks of, I respect it to no end. But when you're being a racial antagonist, I mean, Devin calls them racial vultures, me, racial antagonists, people who just want to keep poking the bear and asking for and looking for a result that they ultimately do not want. They're disingenuous, and that's what Mr. Tariq Nasheed is more than anything else, is disingenuous.
And he is, but he's being paid like a pimp. Now, he used to be a straight-up pimp, so his whole game, his whole raison d'etre was to hook up. What he called mackin'.
Shout out to Chris Cross. I mean, didn't one of them die from sickle cell or cancer or something like that? I'm not sure. But, shout out to them. Because I remember when it was, when they was popping back in the early 90s. And even though right now they're wearing everything front, like, the proper way, their whole shtick was wearing their clothes backwards. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, but really started to show how gullible people were, particularly the African American community, because damn it, they will have your ass backwards so quickly.
He had a whole series. He wrote a book called How to Mac? Something like that. Oh no, sorry. It's called The Mac Within.
I think he also has the art of macking and Shorty behind him right here. Like, this is another reason why I really wanted to do this video, because he got some bad chicks up in this video. I'm not even gonna lie. Definitely 35% of.
Once he was done macking, he decided to take it to the next level, which was to become a race pimp and to profit off not only heightening racial tension, but creating an irreconcilable racial divide to the point of, and I'm not kidding you, a race war. A war.
See, here's the thing. I don't think he believes anything that he says. That's where I think we're a little bit on different ends of this, Mr. Tracy, because I don't believe Tariq here believes anything that he says, a word he says. He says whatever gets him paid. And he's not particularly going to be that forward thinking, as you'll see later on in this here video. And my God, look at old girl's chesticles.
That there's both sides. No, his focus is the revolution. A bloody revolution where whites are physically killed. Because Tariq is upset that he's black. He's upset.
No, but see, here's the thing. He's such a victim. Like, Tariq is playing this victim role to no end, right? And so he doesn't believe that there could be the consequences and the repercussions of which you're speaking of. You know, that's why he's so quick to antagonize. That's what I'm saying. It's not particularly vulturism, even though I do appreciate it. Nice t-shirt there, sir. But it's more just antagonism, and that's the same needling of which AIU speaking.
That America isn't black, and he wants to be a king. Maybe some of you at home are unfamiliar with Mr. Tariq Nasheed, so I thought there's a few ways that I can introduce him to you. But I'm going to start with his most recent appearance on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. If you're not familiar with Jesse Lee Peterson, then you're probably not familiar with the Sluts.
Jesse Lee Peterson is a conservative pastor who does a YouTube show called The Fallen State. I've watched the show several times, but, you know, he's very, very locked in on the whole, you know, lore and mythology of Christianity thing. So, you know, it's more of a every once in a while deal. He's definitely not daily viewing for me.
Are you familiar with the Sluts?
Oh, and he's also the guy that had on Amber Rose. It was like, yeah, oh, well, if I'm a slut, what does that make you? The slut maker.
Amazing. Amazing. Alright, so take a gander at this shit.
Hey, I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. I haven't spoken to my guest in a while. I have with me Tariq Nasheed. He's an author and film producer who also calls himself an anti-racism advocate.
Yeah, so, hold on, wait a minute. Tariq Nasheed, author, filmmaker, I'm surprised he doesn't have Pimp and Mac in there. Anti-racism strategist? This is some upside-down world junk. Devo, no likey. And by the way, I saw your comments in my last video with the drunken life advice, and oh lord, I underestimated the power of the nickname Devo, and I have only myself to blame. But the dude is racist. I mean, it's not
130% correct there, sir. I mean, whether or not Mr. Tariq Nasheed believes what he says, what he's putting out there is ultimately black supremacy. Because there is there's an inferiority and superiority complex going on within the ideology that he spews.
And hard to see that this dude is racist. He absolutely detests white people. And look at he came out with this. What is that? It looks like an...
Okay, hold on there, Mr. Tracy. He doesn't detest white people because white people pay him. Make no mistake, he has plenty of Caucasian supporters and, you know, that put money in his pocket too. You think that the black community can fund him by themselves? No. Blacks... that sounded bad when I said it, blacks. But we are notorious for not supporting each other in our own businesses. So, I mean, we're kind of infamous for that. Trust and believe. Any people that get from Jesse Lee, he got white people behind him. Tariq, he has white people behind him. Sean King is a white person, even though everybody's trying to claim he's biracial. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I've heard that story. Okay, sure, whatever. I'll get to Sean King in another time. But the deal is that, sir, yeah, there's plenty of yo folk that you claiming that put cash in his pocket. Make no mistake.
8-bit camouflage pimp suit? With the gold chain to match? And it's all camouflage because he's from Africa. But he wants to be, you know, warlike. So it's like, look, I kind of want to pretend like I'm quasi-militaristic, but I'm...
I can guarantee you he did not put that much thought into it. He just was like, oh, that's fly. Tossed it on. I can guarantee you that.
Also a hood rat. I mean, let's not twist that shit. So he's got to look fly.
It's good to see you again.
I mean, Jesse Lee is kind of a pimp when you look at it. This is game recognizing game.
Man, good. How the hell did I get back here? But what's up, Jesse?
We had a good time on the radio show.
We did.
What is an anti-racism advocate?
It's nothing.
Yeah, I'm an anti-racism strategist. I look up for ways.
A strategy. You know, that's interesting. The wordplay.
Okay, so before we let him get into this, first and foremost, Baby in the Beige, 35% all day. Mommy in the pink, not so much. Secondly, yeah, that's the thing. When you're promoting racism, when you're promoting a racist ideology, you can't call yourself an anti-racist anything. That is your that's your bread and butter. Racism is your bread and butter. So you're not anti-racism because that would mean that you're anti getting paid. No, sir. You love the racism. You need the racism to continue. Make no mistake. But yeah, this is another very fantastic part of this video because baby in the beige, you got it and you ain't seen nothing yet.
So fun to dissect. Strategy. What is strategy? Why would you use the word strategy? You know what else goes with strategy? Military strategist. Have you ever played the game Stratego? That wasn't about building bridges.
Or Risk. Or Clash of Clans. I'm just saying, there are tons of strategy games out there.
And healing wounds.
Only one piece can occupy a square at a time. Once both players are ready, remove the dividing screen, if used, and begin play.
Exactly, my sweet nerd. The whole game is how to kill your opponent. So when he says anti-racist strategist, he's talking about, look, that's a dog whistle, y'all. We need to kill these
Oh, calm down. Okay, see, that's the thing about Devin Tracy. You're a racial antagonist too, bro, because you're doing the exact same thing. Because I can get, you're giving him way too much credit, my man. He does not think in a third or even fourth dimensional way. He is just, you know what? We're gonna get to it. I'm explaining exactly how and why in a moment.
Fuckers. That's what he's saying. Watch.
To try to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice, because unfortunately we're in a global system where white supremacy dominates all areas of activity.
Are you kidding me? And that's the thing. It's all about white supremacy. It dominates all areas of activity. There's been a 900% increase in black elected officials throughout the nation. All right. So if it's a white supremacy system and everything else like that, then why aren't all those blacks, quote unquote, dismantling it? No, it's not. It's a socioeconomic system more than race at this point. I mean, back in the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, remnants in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, really getting away from it. We're here now where we've had black leadership. And one of the most interesting things that I was ever told was a friend of mine who was from the Congo. She was talking to her mom. She told me the story about her talking to her mom, and her mom was like, I got here and the Americans were just so excited about Obama, about having black leadership. I'm from the Congo. We been had black leadership, and yet here I am. And I was like, oh, snap. That's brilliant.
The areas of activity. Yeah. White supremacy is just rampant, everywhere the whites are, even where the whites aren't. It's just global. And we need justice. For what? I don't know. Just words. Sounds good. Keep going, Tariq.
So we need to replace that system with a just system.
Define white supremacy.
White supremacy means people who believe through speech, thought, and action that they should dominate, control, and mistreat people classified as non-white.
Dominate, control, and mistreat. Bitch, we don't care about you. How are you being dominated? I mean, what are you talking about?
I'm a little bit more interested in the classified as non-white thing, because there's so many different ethnicities and nationalities that to sit there and continue to play the color game, I think we're just past it at this point. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having an affinity for your for your demographic, for your ethnicity, for your nationality. It's just a matter of the feeling of superiority and inferiority, and it swings really both ways.
You're wearing a gold chain. If I wanted to dominate and control you, I'd demand you change that outfit immediately.
And we're dominated by that system completely globally.
How do you know that?
Because they said it. The people who put white supremacy in action, they specifically said that they were doing that.
They. Watch out for they. Is they a plural group, or is that just one trans dude who prefers the pronoun?
You go back to the so-called forefathers of this nation, and even in some of the European nations, they specifically said we're going to create a system of white supremacy.
Yeah, because, the forefathers, slavery, remember slavery? It's 2019 now, but remember slavery? Let's all just combine that together, yeah.
So the system of which Tariq Nasheed's speaking of, like, the heads, these people don't even know they exist. They don't know Devin Tracy exists. They live in a world that we couldn't even imagine. So trust and believe. When you say they, particularly when it comes to the layman ears, such as our very own, trust me, you sound like a conspiracy theorist. And baby girl in the beige.
No thing but a chicken wing.
Where the people who classified as non-white will be the
Jesse ain't buying this. Look at him.
inferiors. They put these things into law, they put them into practice, and they put them into military defense. They defended these laws.
But that's the thing. How about you sit here and name some of the laws? Because, see, I can name the laws that I have a problem with, such as the drug war, and policies such as No Man Left and No Man Behind, initiatives such as the welfare state that I personally take issue with. But Tariq Nasheed, no. And it's not about solutions, because he ain't thinking about no solutions. The same way he ain't thinking about anything as deep as Mr. Tracy tries to make it out to be.
Militarily, and that's where we are now.
We put white supremacy into military defense. I mean, if you isolated each word, they have meaning. Together, gobbledygook. Ebonical gobbledygook. This dude makes Mike Tyson sound like Sam Harris.
And you said globally they've done this.
Globally, absolutely.
And so white people are smarter than black people. And have they done this to all other people? Or
yeah, all
just
people.
black
All people. No, all people are
all
dominated.
People of color.
All people who are classified as non-white, they are dominated by the white supremacists.
So,
what a childish bitch. Spends his life thinking that he's dominated. Why? Again, he lives in a white majority country with a white history. It ain't.
Yeah, so remember when I said you ain't see nothing yet? Baby in the black. Woo! My goodness. Yeah, what were you saying, AIU?
His history. That's the thing. He can't personally stake a claim in it because it wasn't him and it wasn't anyone who looked like him. And so he views that as domination when really it's just reality.
Well, how are white people God's chosen people?
Those are the Jews, my man.
No.
Because you say no?
No.
Then why were they able to sit down and make a decision like that? We're going to build a system that control all people of color. We're going to do.
But see, here's the thing. I don't believe, particularly when it comes to the global standard, I don't believe that this was just white people, sitting down. No. It was a matter of socioeconomics, like the heads would go see the heads, and whether it be in Africa, whether it be in the Philippines, whether it be, in Far East Asia, China, those who were in positions to lead and to make the most out of it are the ones ultimately making the most out of it.
This to do that, and then the people of color have fallen into that. So somebody had to be smart and somebody had to be dumb.
Yep.
They're falling into a foreign state. Do you believe that we are in a foreign state? So, wait a minute. Jesse's like flipping it, and he's confronting Tariq, and he's saying, look, he's big.
You could pounce a quota off of that. Jesus.
He's saying, look, aren't whites superior because they did all this? I mean, they clearly have flexed. I mean, they've clearly thrown their weight around and succeeded and dominated, and they basically stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop on the entire world, so they're kind of gangster, no? So basically he's saying, why are you bitching? Don't hate them. Don't just hate the game if you want to hate something. Shit.
And it seems to me that the people of color are the dumb one because, as you said, it's the white people who are making this happen, right?
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I remember when he got dragged for that. That was like the moment when he really, after that, he really just buckled down on the whole race soldier thing. And like, that's kind of what led us to where we are now, where it's just 24/7 him on Twitter, being the internet revolutionary that is just sitting there milking your fellow white people, Mr. Tracy, for every dollar that he can get out of them. And once again, baby in black. God.
And why not overcome being dumb?
Oh,
rather than trying to stop the smart man from doing what he
Because
does.
non-white people are too dumb to get smart.
That seemed like a weird.
I'm a little offended. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Like, non-white people are too dumb to get. What are you talking about? Like, it's so ridiculous, his position, because he's sitting there. Like, I mean, you just crapping on yourself as well, and also you're discrediting all the different attributes that non-white people have made to this great nation. That's the thing about ancestry, right? About lineage. I can't crack the guy open and I can't cut him in half and count his rings like a tree. So I don't know what he's made of. He calls himself a foundational American or something like that. I guess that means descendant, but either ways, man, like you right there just kind of, wow, it was like a vortex, you know, of self-awareness and complete unawareness at the same time.
Mission? Okay, so that's the state of affairs, apparently, from the philosopher king, Tariq Nasheed. What did he say? Non-white people are too dumb to figure it out? What? This is some bizarre, I don't even know what the fuck the point of this is. I mean, forget what he's saying because it means next to nothing. Just feel the energy, feel the vibe, the spirit, the chi, if you will. He has a word for it, actually. This is a fun little side note. He's come up with a word and he hashtags it in almost every one of his tweets. And he calls it Ogun. O-G-U-N. Now,
yeah, that's right up there with Kwanzaa, Harambe, and all this other just made up nonsensical, who gives a crap, it don't move anything forward, nonsense that has permeated the American black community for well over 50, 60 years. You know, I mean, he's just the latest in a long line of shysters, you know?
You could try to look that up. It has some sort of a folklore or whatever, mythological background. But he's trying to reinvent the word. And what it means is basically black power. It's a word that embodies the mystical, magical powers.
It's the Shogun of Harlem. Who's the meanest? It's the Ogun Shogun. I'm such a nerd.
Of the Wakandan within. Sort of a...
Every single person that passes or doesn't pass the paper brown bag test that started using Wakanda for anything, they are not to be taken seriously. All y'all Wakanda fanatics, just sit down. You're terrible. Like you couldn't say, I do not think for myself any more loudly than to proclaim the fictional land of Wakanda. You're ridiculous. You sound dumb. Stop it. Cut it out. And Baby in Black. Whew. Oh, the chick with the green hair, I guess she aight, but that green hair, it's like if the hair that you're rocking is not the natural color to pop up out of your head, I'm just like, I mean, it may be peroxide and Baby in Black, I don't know, but it looks far more natural than old girl with the green.
Melanin power word, Ogun. So he'll post up a video of a black guy at like some bar and he'll sucker punch a white guy and knock him out. And he'll be like, hey, that white guy stepped up to the wrong brother. Hashtag Ogun. I mean, this shit is fucking amazing. Amazing. So, we gotta dive deeper into the friggin' Ogun. Do we not? Like, there's so much to mention when it comes to Tariq. One thing, just look at the man. I mean, he's obviously a huckster. He's a grifter. He's a chump. He's a profiteer. He's an uneducated, unintelligent man. Okay, he is
smart enough to get the bag, so I'm not going to sit there and just be like, oh, no, you're dumb. If you can figure out a hustle and you can work that hustle, cool. My issue is that he uses the history of, American, of the American Negro as his main source of animosity. And that's a problem.
Classless scumbag. But you might ask, is he a pimp? Okay, is he legitimately a man who sells women to other men? He dresses the part.
No, he's an actor. I mean, that's it. He's an actor who heard a few things from he himself said that he would listen to the people on his block. I mean, and that's all he did. Just like not Thugnificent, but Gangstalicious. And this is the second Boondocks reference. Ugh.
Looks like a pimp. I mean, if it looks like a pimp, walks like a pimp, talks like a pimp, is it a duck? Something like that. Is he a duck pimp? This is a question that a lot of people have for him. Like, this comes